Welcome to the TMT channel. I'm your 10-minute teacher. I'm a chartered accountant who makes under 10-minute videos to explain all accounting concepts of class 11 and class 12. Let's go. In today's video, we are going to cover Introduction to Accounting, which is a theory chapter. But don't worry, by the end of this video, आपको not only सब समझ जाएगा, but also सब याद रह जाएगा. Let's see how. We first start with the definition of accounting. This definition by itself is so boring, it's so complicated without even reading it. Accounting is the process of identifying, measuring and communicating economic information to permit informed judgment and decision by users of this information. American Accounting Association. But how do we make this interesting? Let's try. Accounting is the process of identifying, measuring and communicating economic information to permit informed judgment and decision by users of this information. American Accounting Association. Now, if you focus on these visuals, आपका आधा definition वहीं हो जाएगा. Do one thing. I suggest take a screenshot of this slide. Look at it once every day for the next 2 days. आपका definition ऐसे याद रह जाएगा. No need to keep reading this definition twice, thrice, 4 times to by heart it. Focus visually. Let's learn smartly. Next, we move on to characteristics of accounting, which is more theory. Now, before we start, we have all been told कि अगर एग्जाम में टेक्स्ट बुक लैंग्वेज नहीं लिखेंगे तो मार्क्स नहीं मिलेगा. बट दैट इज नॉट ट्रू. आपके करेक्टर को खुद टेक्स्ट बुक लैंग्वेज नहीं आता, वो थोड़ी बाय हार्ट करता है सब. But he's a learned person in accounts. He knows all the relevant technical terms in accounts. What a corrector expects out of a student is that all relevant technical terms are written in the exam. So, what I have done is, I have gone through the entire textbook. All those long points have been concised by me by retaining all the technical terms. So, जो याद रखना है, वो भी यही रखना है. And we will remember it visually as well. Let's start. First, monetary transactions. Only those transactions which can be valued in monetary terms will be recorded in accounts. Next, common currency. In India, all transactions are recorded in rupees. In US, all transactions are recorded in dollars. So to summarize, all transactions of a country will be recorded in a common measurement unit. Next, recording. All transactions are recorded in the books of the original entry, which is nothing but the journal. And lastly, classifying. All transactions recorded in the journal will then be classified in accounts maintained under the ledger. So, technical terms हमारे सामने है, but again, we don't have to keep reading these technical terms to by heart the entire characteristics. Let's try to remember it visually. First, monetary transactions. Next, common currency. Third, journal. And lastly, ledger. Again, I would suggest take a screenshot of this slide so you remember this perfectly. Look at it once for the next 2 to 3 days and आपके सब characteristics cover हो जाएंगे. Moving on, let's look at functions, roles, advantages and objectives of accounting. इन चारों में से कुछ भी पूछा हो, आंसर सेम ही रहने वाला है. And again, we are going to look at it visually. We are going to learn smartly. No need to keep reading these points ताकि by heart हो. Let's start. We first look at facilitates decision making. The management needs access to accounts on a regular basis for effective decision making. Next, facilitates legal requirements. The management needs access to the books of accounts to ensure that it complies with the Companies Act, the GST Act, and the Income Tax Act. Next, facilitates comparison. Management wants to compare businesses' performance of this year with that of its previous years. The management also wants to compare the business's performance with that of its competitors. Therefore, to facilitate comparison, accounting is relevant. And lastly, facilitates loans. Banks want to check the books of accounts of a company to ensure whether the company will pay them back. Therefore, accounts also facilitates loans. Let's focus on the visuals. Let's remember this smartly. First, facilitates decision making. Second, facilitates legal requirements. Third, facilitates comparison. And fourth, facilitates loans. So, we are done with 2 broad chunks. Now, if you are enjoying this style of learning accounts, you can learn each chapter from me. I'm going to conduct a chapter wise crash course in Jan and Feb 2024 right before your exams to ensure that your last minute preparation and last minute revision happens thoroughly. It happens perfectly. No need to pay for the entire subject. You can pay only for the chapters of your choice at a reasonable rupees 199 each. Join my Telegram group for further details on the crash course. You can scan the QR code in front of you or click on the link in the description below. Now, let's get back to accounts. Now we will look at limitations of accounting. Again, there are going to be points, but we are going to remember them smartly. First, ignores qualitative elements. Accounting is too focused only on numbers and the quantitative elements. It ignores the qualitative part of business, such as आपका staff का quality क्या है, business का reputation क्या है, that is goodwill of the business. Next, ignores changes in price. Accounts records all assets at cost price. It totally ignores current market price. Third, use of estimates. Accounting is done on the basis of evidences, that is actual transactions, and it involves the use of estimates as well. But sometimes these estimates can be misleading. This is clearly a limitation of accounts. Now, if we focus, points number 2 and points number 3 can often lead a business to communicate incorrect information, inaccurate information, wrong information. That is what this visual depicts. And lastly, window dressing. Accounting can be manipulated. Accounts can be forged to inflate profits or even to conceal vital information. This can result in scams. This can result in frauds. Now, let's focus on the visuals to remember the limitations better. First, ignores qualitative elements. Second and third, ignores changes in price and use of estimates. And fourth, window dressing. Accounting is an art as well as a science. The entire process of identifying transactions, then recording them in the journal, from there classifying it in the ledger is an art. However, this process is backed by an organized knowledge based on principles. Therefore, it is scientific as well. So to conclude, accounting is not only an art but also a science. And last topic of this video, users of accounting information. There are two types of users. There are internal users and external users. Let's look at the internal users first. Internal users are those users who have complete access to the books of accounts. They are the owners of the business. Owners want to check whether business profit कर रहा है या नहीं. Owners also want to check उनके investment पे उनको कितना return मिल रहा है. The second internal users are the management. The management wants to know whether the business is doing well or not. The management also wants to fix the selling price to earn maximum profits. The management would also want to compare the performance of business with that of its competitors. So, there are two internal users, owners and management, who both have complete access to the books of accounts. Now, let's look at external users. Unlike internal users, external users have limited or restricted access to the books of accounts. They are banks. Banks want to check the books of accounts to decide whether it should give a loan or not, and if yes, how much loan to give. Next, government. Government needs to check the books of accounts to ensure that the business is paying its taxes correctly, legally, ethically. Next, creditors. The creditors need to check books of accounts to ensure whether the business will pay them back or no. And lastly, employees. Employees need to check the books of accounts to ensure that the business will pay them bonus, will pay them increments. So, this is how we have covered the entire introduction to accounting under 10 minutes. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and please subscribe, and please share it with all your friends so everyone can know that learning accounts is possible in a smart fashion under 10 minutes.